So what we're going to do is create our table using the CLI. So what we do is type in AWS DynamoDB. And I think if we list it out, it'll tell us a bunch of information. So I think we can type in help maybe. And so this is a great way of getting a lot of information about DynamoDB. But we're just going to use the docs for this. So let's look up create table. And in here you can see the values that we can specify. I'm not sure which ones are required, but I generally know what we need to enter. The first thing is going to be attribute definitions. And so the attribute definitions, if we just go to that section, an array of attributes that describe the key schema for the table indexes. So what it's asking for is to specify the attributes for that we're going to use in the actual key schema. So the partition key and the sort key. And we decided that we are going to use the ship class and the registry. So if you just look at the syntax here, this is the format that we have to type it in. So we'll make our way back. I'm just going to copy this to save myself a lot of trouble. So I'm really terrible at writing these things out. And I'm going to type in create table and then put a backslash. That lets us do multi-line, and we'll do attribute definitions. I'm going to do 2 spaces there, and we'll go back here. I'm just going to copy this format. And so that is our first one, and it's going to be, I said, ship class. And it's going to be S for type string. I'm not sure if it tells us the types around here. I'm not seeing it, but we see there's S, N, and B. So back here, remember we have string, binary, number. That's what they're represented in the CLI and the API, S, N, and B. So we want them to both be string, but that's our first one. So we'll go back here. And we will need a second one, and we said that would be registry, and that's going to be string type as well. The next thing we're going to need is the key schema, and this specifies the attributes that make up the primary key for the table. And down below, you can see that we need an attribute name and a key type, and they might have an example here. Yes, they do, so here it is. And we will make our way back to here, and we will type in key schema. And I'll just paste that in there. And it's going to be the same thing. I know it's a bit redundant, but that's just how it is. And the ship class is going to be the hash. And the registry is going to be the range. Remember I said earlier that DynamoDB used to call them hash and range, and they still appear in the code? This is what I'm talking about. You can see here it says hash is the partition key, range is the sort key. On the exam for the developer associate, you might actually see a bit of CLI stuff here, and then you might need to understand what is what. So just be aware of that. And the next thing, what we might need to specify is the provision throughput. This might have a default, but we'll take a look here. I'm just scroll up here so I can find the name here. Provision throughput represents the provision throughput for the specified table. This is probably a required field. I'm not seeing anything that says required, but I almost feel that it is. And we're going to just set that default for that to 5 and 5. So I'm just going to copy that there, make our way back over here. And we'll just put 2 spaces there for backslash. And then we're going to set the read and write capacity. We're just going to set it as 5 and 5. So we'll do 5 and 5. And one more thing I want to do is set the region. Always, always, always when you're using the CLI, set the region if you can, just because AWS might default it to Ohio, and then you're just going to be scratching your head looking for stuff. So I think this is our create command. I'm just going to type create DynamoDB table. Nice documentation for ourselves. And let's see if this works. So we'll just copy that, paste that on in, hit enter. It did not work. Let's see here. Let me just double check here. Backslash, 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 backslash. Looks all good to me. Maybe I didn't copy it in right. We'll just try this one more time. I'm going to type clear here. Paste that in. Hit enter. Okay, just give me a second to figure this out.